1 year had passed since the destruction of Nexus Prime, and the galaxy would never be the same. Supreme Commander June, promoted from his role as Fleet Admiral, stood in the ruins of what had once been the Council's greatest symbol. The shattered remains of the massive habitat drifted through space like a monument to the price of betraying humanity. The Galactic Council no longer existed. Of the 7 species that had planned humanity's destruction, 3 had been completely wiped out. The Saurians, Resonance, and Helix were now extinct, their homeworlds reduced to glowing balls of radioactive glass. The remaining 4 species existed only as scattered refugees, their governments destroyed, their military forces eliminated forever. Commander Min, one of the few survivors from the original ambush 3 years ago, now oversaw the monitoring stations that watched every spacefaring species in the galaxy. Early warning networks made sure that no alliance could form against humanity without Earth's knowledge. The lesson had been taught clearly. Never again would aliens be allowed to gather their strength in secret. Status report. Supreme Commander June requested as he reviewed intelligence from across known space. All former Council territories are under observation, Commander Min replied. The surviving Saurian populations on Refuge Station Delta are requesting permission to establish a colony world. The resident refugees want to negotiate for access to their crystal libraries. June's expression remained cold. Denied. They lost the right to make requests when they betrayed our trust. They can survive on charity from other species, or they can die. I do not care which. The new galactic order was simple and brutal. Humanity would tolerate no threats, accept no challenges, and show no mercy to former enemies. Species that had remained neutral during the war now found themselves under Earth's protection, whether they wanted it or not. Those who had sided with the Council faced varying degrees of punishment. President Han, now in her final years, had overseen the transformation of human society from peaceful explorers to galactic overlords. The change troubled her, but she understood its necessity. The galaxy had taught humanity that mercy was weakness, and weakness led to extinction. We wanted to be their friends, she said during her final address to the human nation. We offered them our knowledge, our culture, our friendship. In return, they tried to murder our children and steal our worlds. We will never make that mistake again. The Retribution Armada had been joined by massive construction fleets, but their primary mission remained deterrence through overwhelming force. Every ship in the human fleet carried weapons that could destroy planets. Every space station mounted guns that could crack moons. The message was clear to all species. Do not test human resolve. Dr. Yoon, now ancient but still brilliant, continued developing new weapons in hidden laboratories. She had created tools of destruction that made her earlier inventions look like toys. Weapons that could ignite entire star systems. Devices that could unmake reality itself in localized areas. She called them her insurance policies against future betrayal. The survivors of the Council's original betrayal held positions of power throughout human space. They remembered the horror of watching their friends die while alien leaders laughed. That memory drove them to ensure that such a tragedy could never happen again. Admiral Sewell commanded the Home Defense Fleet, making sure that Earth itself remained impregnable. Colonel Day led special forces that eliminated threats before they could fully form. Captain Teo oversaw intelligence operations that monitored alien activities throughout the galaxy. But the most important position belonged to Admiral Jun himself. As Supreme Commander of Human Space Forces, he enforced humanity's new philosophy across the stars. His word was law in over 300 star systems. His fleets patrolled the trade routes that connected thousands of worlds. The galaxy has achieved peace, he told a gathering of alien ambassadors on the anniversary of Nexus Prime's destruction. Not the peace of friendship and cooperation that we once hoped for, but the peace of fear and respect. It will do. Some species had tried to resist the new order. The militant Corvan Empire had attempted to form an alliance against human expansion. Their entire species was extinct within a month. Their worlds turned to ash by weapons that attacked matter at the quantum level. Others learned from the Corvan's mistake. The aquatic depths dwellers became humanity's most loyal subjects, providing intelligence about potential threats in exchange for protection. The plant-like Verdant Alliance offered their agricultural expertise to feed human colonies. The mechanical synthetic collective shared technological innovations that improved human ships and weapons. We serve willingly, Ambassador Trill of the Depths Dwellers explained to other alien leaders. The humans protect us from species that would enslave or destroy us. In exchange, we help them maintain galactic stability. But stability built on fear was fragile, and Jun knew it. He had created a galaxy where humanity dominated through superior firepower, but he had not created a galaxy where humans could truly trust their alien neighbors. Perhaps such trust was impossible after the Council's betrayal. The monitoring stations detected everything: fleet movements, communication patterns, industrial capacity, population growth. Any species that began developing advanced weapons found their research facilities destroyed by invisible phantom destroyers. Any group that gathered too many ships in one place faced immediate investigation by human forces. New species that achieved spaceflight received immediate contact from human representatives. The message was always the same: follow humanity's rules and prosper under their protection. Challenge those rules and face extinction. Most chose prosperity. Young aliens growing up in the new galactic order learned about the Great Betrayal as a historical fact. They studied the destruction of Nexus Prime as an example of what happened to species that betrayed trust. Many genuinely believed that humanity had brought peace and order to a chaotic galaxy. But older aliens remembered the time before human dominance. They recalled when species could make their own choices without asking Earth's permission. Some whispered that humanity had become the very thing they once opposed: a tyrannical empire that ruled through fear. Supreme Commander Jun heard these whispers through his intelligence networks. They did not anger him because he understood their truth. Humanity had indeed become something darker than they had been before the betrayal, but they had also become something that could never again be deceived and murdered by false friends. History will judge us harshly, he told Commander Min during one of their private conversations. They will say we became monsters in response to betrayal. Min nodded thoughtfully. She had been young during the original ambush, but she remembered the helpless rage of watching superior alien fleets murder human explorers. Perhaps we did become monsters, she replied. But we became monsters that can protect our children. The new galactic order was not perfect. It was built on vengeance rather than justice, fear rather than respect. But it was stable, and stability meant that human children could grow up without fearing alien treachery. For the survivors of the Great Betrayal, that was enough. A decade after the war's end, a young alien delegation arrived at Earth's orbital diplomatic station. They represented a species that had just developed faster than light travel, seeking to make contact with the galactic community they had discovered. Ambassador Yu, daughter of one of the original betrayal's victims, met with the delegation in the station's conference room. She looked at their eager faces and remembered her own species' excitement when they first joined the council. The memory was painful, but it also reminded her why the current system existed. "Welcome to the galactic community," she told the young aliens. "We have only one rule, but it is absolute. Never betray humanity's trust. Never threaten human lives. Never believe that we have forgotten the price of peace." The alien delegates listened carefully as she explained the history that had shaped their galaxy. They learned about the Great Betrayal, the Retribution War, and the new order that emerged from the ashes of the Council. Some seemed frightened by the story. Others appeared thoughtful. "We wanted to be your friends once," Ambassador Yu concluded. "Other species taught us to be your rulers instead. Do not make their mistake." Outside the station's windows, the stars shone with the light of thousands of inhabited worlds. Each one existed under humanity's protection and authority. It was not the galaxy that Earth's first explorers had dreamed of finding, but it was a galaxy where human children could sleep safely at night. The age of betrayal was over. The age of human supremacy would continue until the stars themselves burned out, enforced by fleets that remembered the price of trusting false friends. In the cold mathematics of survival, that was victory enough. The largest battle in galactic history was about to begin. Nexus Prime hung in space like a giant metal moon, home to 12 billion aliens from dozens of different species. It was the heart of the Council's power, and Admiral Jun intended to cut that heart out forever. The massive space habitat was protected by defensive stations larger than most ships. Energy shields surrounded it like glowing bubbles. Thousands of Council vessels from every surviving species had gathered to make their final stand. Chancellor Vex broadcast from the habitat's central command center. His scaled face filled communication screens across the galaxy. "People of all worlds," he declared. "Today we face extinction at the hands of human monsters. Every civilized species must unite against this threat, or we will all burn in their fires. His words reached species throughout known space. Some believed him and sent their fleets to help defend Nexus Prime. Others remembered their own experiences with council rule and chose to remain neutral. A few, like the Vorthan Empire, actually hoped the humans would succeed. High Magistrate Kel's crystal voice sang across diplomatic channels, begging for assistance. "The humans have already destroyed 12 worlds," she pleaded. "Billions of innocent people are dead. If we do not stop them here, your worlds will be next." But Admiral June felt no guilt about those deaths. The aliens had started this war by murdering nearly 200,000 humans who came only to help. Every dead alien was justice for Admiral Kwan and his brave fleet. "All ships take positions," June ordered from the bridge of the Nemesis. Around him, the full might of the Retribution Armada prepared for battle. 2,000 human warships faced off against the largest enemy fleet ever assembled. The Council forces outnumbered them 3-1, but numbers meant nothing when the humans possessed superior technology. Dr. Yoon's weapons could unmake matter itself. The quantum tunnels allowed instant travel anywhere in the system. Most importantly, the humans fought with the focused rage of a species that had learned to hate. Captain Bo commanded the main assault force aboard his battleship Devastator. His Harbinger-class ships would punch through the defensive lines while the Phantom destroyers struck from unexpected angles. Behind them, the massive Apocalypse siege ships waited to deliver the killing blow. "Remember," Admiral Jun told his captains, "we are not here to capture territory or take prisoners. We are here to end the Council forever. Show no mercy to those who showed none to us." The battle began when Council ships opened fire at maximum range. Beams of energy and streams of projectiles filled space between the two fleets. The aliens hoped to destroy human ships before they could close the distance. But the human armor held against weapons that should have vaporized entire cities. The black hulls of the Harbinger battleships absorbed energy attacks and reflected them back at their sources. Alien weapons that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries proved useless against human engineering. Captain Sarah's Phantom destroyers appeared inside the enemy formation without warning. Their cloaking systems made them invisible until the moment they fired. Each destroyer could destroy a ship 10 times its size before vanishing again into the darkness. "Impossible," screamed a resonant commander as his crystal ship exploded around him. "Nothing can penetrate our shields like that." But human quantum weapons followed different rules than conventional energy beams. They reached through shields and armor as if they did not exist, turning the target's own atoms into weapons against it. Colonel High commanded the siege platforms that targeted Nexus Prime's defensive stations. These massive installations had protected the habitat for 1,000 years, but they crumbled under antimatter bombardment like castles made of sand. "Station Alpha destroyed," reported her weapons officer. "Station Beta is breaking apart. Station Gamma has lost all power." One by one, the ancient defenses fell. Each explosion lit up space like a small star. The aliens who had built these stations had never imagined weapons powerful enough to destroy them so easily. The space battle raged for 3 days and nights. Human ships darted through enemy formations like deadly schools of fish. They struck hard, vanished, and reappeared somewhere else before the aliens could respond. Traditional tactics meant nothing against opponents who could appear anywhere instantly. Captain Teo led boarding parties that captured alien command ships. Instead of destroying them, he took their commanders alive and forced them to broadcast surrender orders to their fleets. Many alien ships stopped fighting when they heard their own leaders begging them to lay down arms. But some Council species fought with desperate courage. They knew their civilizations were doomed if they lost this battle. Saurian assault troops threw themselves at human positions with claws and teeth when their weapons failed. Resonant crystal warriors sang death songs that shattered metal and glass. The turning point came when Admiral Jun decided to attack Nexus Prime directly. The habitat's outer defenses had been destroyed, but billions of aliens still lived inside its protective shell. He could have laid siege for months, or he could end the war in hours. "All ships target the habitat's main support structures," he ordered. "Bring that thing down." The massive siege ships moved into position around Nexus Prime, their Nova Protocol weapons charged with energy that could crack planets. For a moment, space itself seemed to hold its breath. Then the weapons fired. Beams of impossible energy struck the habitat's central supports, Metal that had withstood meteor impacts for centuries began to glow and melt. The artificial gravity systems failed, sending billions of aliens floating helplessly through the corridors. Please, Chancellor Vex broadcast on all frequencies. We surrender. Stop the bombardment. We will give you anything you want. But Admiral June's face showed no emotion as he watched the great habitat begin to break apart. You had your chance for mercy, he replied. You chose to betray trust instead. Now face the consequences. The destruction of Nexus Prime took 6 hours. The humans used precision strikes to collapse the habitat section by section, giving the aliens inside time to suffer and despair before they died. It was a deliberate cruelty designed to teach the galaxy a lesson. High Magistrate Kell made one final plea as her crystal city melted around her. We were wrong to betray you, she sang. But this vengeance makes you no better than us. History will remember you as monsters. Admiral June activated his personal communication channel to respond. History is written by the survivors, he said calmly. And we intend to be the only ones left. When Nexus Prime finally exploded, the light could be seen from neighboring star systems. 12 billion aliens died in that explosion, along with the last hope of Council resistance. The remaining enemy ships scattered in all directions, their crews too shocked to continue fighting. But the humans pursued them relentlessly. Captain Bow's task forces hunted down fleeing vessels throughout the system. No Council ship would be allowed to escape and carry word of human mercy, because there was no mercy to be found. The Battle of Nexus Prime ended with complete human victory. The Galactic Council had ceased to exist as a political entity. Its capital was destroyed, its leadership dead, its military scattered to the void. But Admiral June was not finished. 3 Council species still existed, hiding on their homeworlds and praying that humanity would be satisfied with this victory. They would learn that human vengeance had no limits when children were murdered through treachery. The Retribution Armada began moving toward the Saurian homeworld. Chancellor Vex's species would be the first to pay the final price for their betrayal. Then would come the Resonance, then the others, until every Council species was nothing but radioactive dust. The galaxy had wanted to see what humans could become when they abandoned their peaceful nature. Now they knew. They had created the most efficient killers in known space, and those killers would not stop until their enemies were extinct. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of human dominance had begun. Admiral June stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, watching 2,000 human warships prepare for battle. 2 years had passed since the Council's betrayal, and now humanity was ready to answer. The Retribution Armada stretched across space like a dark cloud of death. These ships looked nothing like the peaceful vessels the aliens had destroyed. The Harbinger-class battleships were black as night, their hulls covered in armor that could stop planet-killer weapons. The Phantom-class destroyers flickered in and out of visibility like deadly ghosts. The massive Apocalypse-class siege ships carried enough firepower to burn entire worlds. Admiral June had survived the original ambush as a young captain. Now he commanded humanity's vengeance. His face showed no emotion as he gave the order that would change galactic history forever. All ships, begin Operation Retribution. First target, Kepler 442. Kepler 442 was the Saurians' most important military base. Chancellor Vex had planned the human betrayal from his fortress on that world. 50 million Saurians lived there, along with the largest alien fleet in known space. The Council believed it was completely safe. They were wrong. Captain Bow commanded the first attack group aboard his Harbinger-class battleship Devastator. His ships used quantum tunnels to travel faster than light, appearing instantly at their target. The Saurians had no warning at all. "Defensive positions!" screamed the Saurian base commander as human ships appeared above his planet. "All stations, battle alert!" But there was no time for defense. Captain Bow's weapons fired before the aliens could even raise their shields. Beams of pure antimatter struck the orbital fortresses. Each hit unmade matter at the atomic level, turning solid metal into expanding clouds of energy. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When the weapons stopped firing, nothing remained of Kepler 442 except glowing debris and radiation. The planet itself was gone, along with every living thing on its surface. 50 million Saurians had died without firing a single shot in return. Captain Sarah led similar attacks on 11 other worlds simultaneously. Her task force hit the resonance crystal cities with quantum disruptors that shattered their living structures. The beautiful singing worlds fell silent forever as their populations turned to cosmic dust. Across the galaxy, Council military bases simply vanished. Fleets that had existed for centuries were erased in minutes. Supply lines that had operated for millennia were cut by invisible human ships that struck without warning. The attacks were not random. Admiral June and his staff had spent 2 years studying every piece of intelligence Commander Nari had gathered. They knew exactly where to hit to cause maximum damage. Every target was chosen to weaken the Council's ability to fight back. Rear Admiral Nari, promoted for her survival of the original betrayal, led the reconnaissance division. Her network of human spies and sympathetic aliens provided perfect intelligence about Council movements. She knew where their leaders would be before they knew themselves. The Helix High Command is meeting on Station Omega-7, she reported to Admiral June. All 4 of their fleet admirals will be there. Send the Phantoms, Jun ordered. 3 Phantom-class destroyers appeared inside Station Omega-7's docking bay. The station's shields were designed to stop attacks from outside, not from ships that materialized inside their defenses. The destroyers fired once and the entire station exploded like a small star. The galaxy watched in horror as the humans revealed their true capabilities. Species that had remained neutral during the original betrayal now scrambled to distance themselves from the Council. Some tried to contact Earth directly, begging for mercy. Ambassador Trill of the Aquatic Depths Dwellers sent desperate messages to President Han. "Please," his translated words said. "We never supported the Council's actions. We want peace between our species." But no human replied to any diplomatic contact. The time for talking had ended when Admiral Quan died in space. Now there was only war, and war would continue until every Council species was extinct or broken. The Saurians tried to organize a defense of their remaining worlds. Chancellor Vex broadcast calls for unity among all Council species. "We must stand together," he declared, "or these human monsters will destroy us all." His words rang hollow. The Council fleet was already broken, its commanders dead, its bases turned to radioactive ash. The surviving ships scattered to protected systems, but human reconnaissance found them anyway. One by one, they died in the darkness between stars. High Magistrate Kell of the Resonance attempted a different strategy. She tried to turn other species against humanity by showing them footage of the destroyed worlds. "Look what they have done," her crystal voice sang across galactic networks. 50 million innocents dead in 17 minutes. Is this the galaxy you want to live in? But other species remembered their own experiences with Council protection. Many had been conquered or enslaved by the same aliens who now begged for help against human vengeance. Their sympathy was limited. The Vorthan Empire, longtime enemies of the Saurians, actually celebrated the human attacks. "Finally," declared Vorthan war leader Cross, "someone has made those scaled tyrants pay for their crimes." Dr. Yoon's weapons proved even more effective than expected. The antimatter warheads unmade entire fleets in single explosions. The quantum disruptors turned solid matter into exotic particles that followed no known laws of physics. Most terrifying were the Nova protocol devices that could make stars unstable, threatening entire solar systems. Colonel High commanded the orbital siege platforms that began systematic bombardment of Council industrial worlds. These massive space stations could destroy factory complexes from beyond the reach of any known weapons. They moved from system to system like mechanical plagues, leaving only empty worlds behind. "Target the shipyards first," Colonel High told her gunners, "then the factories, then the power plants. Leave nothing that can support military production." The humans did not just destroy military targets. They eliminated the Council's ability to rebuild. Every factory that could make weapons was turned to ash. Every mine that produced military metals was collapsed. Every research station that developed new technology was vaporized. The war revealed humanity's true nature when pressed beyond their limits. These were not the peaceful explorers who had begged to join the Council. These were killers who had learned to use their intelligence for destruction instead of creation. Captain Teo led strike forces that eliminated Council communication networks. Without the ability to coordinate their defenses, the remaining alien species could only react to human attacks after they had already happened. They were fighting blind against an enemy that could see everything. The psychological warfare was as devastating as the physical attacks. Humans broadcast the original betrayal footage to populations throughout Council space. They showed alien civilians exactly how their leaders had murdered innocent humans who came only to help. Some alien worlds descended into civil war as their populations learned the truth. Others saw mass desertions from their military forces as soldiers refused to die for leaders who had started an unwinnable war through treachery. The aquatic depths dwellers were the first to officially break from the council. Ambassador Trill announced that his species would no longer support the war against humanity. "We cannot defend leaders who began this conflict through deception and murder," he declared. The humans accepted this defection with cold calculation. Species that abandoned the council quickly enough might survive. Those that continued to support the original betrayal would share the fate of their leaders. 3 months after the first attack, the council's military strength had been reduced by 70%. Their fleets existed only as scattered remnants hiding in deep space. Their industrial capacity was gone, along with most of their leadership. But Admiral June was not satisfied with military victory. The council species had to be destroyed completely, not just defeated. They had proven that their nature was treacherous and cruel. As long as they existed, they would threaten humanity again. "Prepare for the final assault," he ordered his fleet commanders. "Target: Nexus Prime." Nexus Prime was the ancient capital of the Galactic Council, home to representatives of all member species. It was the largest artificial structure ever built, housing billions of aliens in a city-sized space habitat. The battle for Nexus Prime would determine whether the Council continued to exist or vanished forever from galactic history. Admiral June intended to make sure it was the latter. Commander Nari's ship Shadowhawk looked like a piece of space junk when it finally reached Earth orbit. 6 months of hiding in the nebula had damaged the hull badly. The other 2 frigates had not survived the journey home. Nari was the only witness left alive. President Han stood in the emergency meeting room deep under the capital city. Around the table sat Earth's most powerful leaders. General Ray commanded all ground forces. Admiral Sewell controlled the remaining space fleet. Dr. Yoon ran the secret weapons programs that most people did not know existed. "Show them," President Han said quietly. Commander Nari activated the holographic display. The recording of the ambush began to play. The leaders watched in complete silence as their friends and families died in space. They saw Admiral Kwan's final sacrifice. They heard Chancellor Vex laughing about his lies. When the recording ended, nobody spoke for a long time. General Ray was the first to break the silence. 180,000 people, she said. Her voice was calm, but her hands shook with rage. "They murdered 180,000 of our people." Admiral Sewell stared at the frozen image of the dying Indomitable. "They used our desire to help others as a weapon against us. They made us trust them, then killed us for that trust." President Han closed her eyes. She had sent those people to their deaths. The decision had been hers based on lies the aliens told. But now she understood something important. The galaxy was not a place where peaceful species could live safely. It was a place where the strong killed the weak. "What is our current military strength?" she asked. Admiral Sewell checked his tablet. "After the losses, we have maybe 50 ships left. Most of them are old patrol boats and cargo vessels. The aliens destroyed our entire modern fleet." "No," said Dr. Yoon. "That is not true." Everyone turned to look at the elderly scientist. She had been quiet during the meeting, but her eyes burned with a strange light. "We have weapons they never saw," Dr. Yoon continued. "For 30 years, my department has been developing technologies that we thought were too dangerous to use. We wanted to be peaceful explorers, not conquerors, but the galaxy has taught us a different lesson." She activated her own display. Images of strange ships and terrible weapons filled the air. President Han recognized some of them from classified reports she had read years ago. Project Hellfire created antimatter warheads that can destroy entire cities, Dr. Yoon explained. Project Void developed weapons that unmake matter at the quantum level. And Project Nova, she paused. Project Nova can kill planets. General Ray leaned forward. "How many ships can we build with these technologies?" "The automated shipyards have been working in secret for 20 years, Dr. Yoon said. "We can build faster than any species in known space. Give me 2 years, and I will give you an armada that can burn the galaxy." President Han made the hardest decision of her life. "Do it. But first, we bring our people home." The recall order went out on hidden frequencies to every human in space. Corporate traders, colonial governors, research scientists, exploration crews, All received the same message. Return to Earth immediately. Do not ask questions. Do not delay. Lieutenant Colonel Day led the secret missions to evacuate civilians from Council space. Her special forces teams moved like ghosts through alien cities, finding humans and getting them to safety. Some humans had already disappeared, taken by alien security forces, or simply vanished in the night. The few who made it home brought terrible stories. The Council had begun Phase 0 operations against human colonies. Equipment failed mysteriously, food became poisoned, communication systems stopped working. People were dying, and the aliens blamed it on human incompetence. They want us weak and helpless, Colonel Day reported to President Han. They are killing our people slowly, making it look like accidents. But the evacuations also brought valuable intelligence. The humans had been living among aliens for years. They knew the locations of military bases, industrial centers, and government buildings. They had seen alien weaknesses and learned alien secrets. Most importantly, they had learned that the Council was not as united as it appeared. Some species were forced members who feared the Saurians and resonance. Others had been conquered centuries ago and still remembered their independence. The alliance could be broken if the right pressure was applied. Meanwhile, in hidden facilities throughout the solar system, the Retribution Armada took shape. These new ships looked nothing like humanity's previous vessels. The old designs had been built for exploration and peaceful contact. The new ones existed only to kill. The Harbinger-class battleships were as large as cities and carried enough firepower to crack moons. Their hulls were black metal that absorbed energy weapons. Their engines could push them faster than any known alien ship. The Phantom-class destroyers used improved versions of Commander Nari's cloaking technology. They could appear anywhere without warning, strike hard, and vanish before the enemy could respond. Each one carried enough weapons to destroy a space station. Most terrifying were the Apocalypse-class siege ships. These massive vessels existed for one purpose: to kill planets. They carried Nova Protocol weapons that could ignite atmospheres or cause stars to go unstable. Dr. Yoon had designed them herself, and she called them her Children of Vengeance. The construction happened in complete secrecy. Earth's industrial capacity had grown enormously during the peaceful years, but most of it had been hidden from alien observers. Asteroid mining operations, deep space factories, automated construction yards, all had been disguised as civilian operations. Now they revealed their true purpose. Humans had been preparing for war without knowing it. The peaceful exterior hid a military-industrial machine that could outproduce any known species. President Han visited the shipyards often during those 2 years. She watched the great vessels take shape and felt a strange mixture of pride and sadness. These ships represented everything humanity could accomplish when pushed to their limits. But they also represented the death of human innocence. "We wanted to be explorers," she said to Admiral Sewell one day. "We wanted to learn from older, wiser species. We wanted to be part of something greater than ourselves." Admiral Sewell nodded. He understood her pain. They taught us that wisdom and age do not make species peaceful. They just make them better at hiding their cruelty. The final ship to join the Armada was the Nemesis, flagship of the Retribution fleet. It carried weapons that could sterilize worlds and armor that could survive the explosion of stars. Admiral Jun, one of the few survivors from the original ambush, would command it. Jun had been a young captain when the Council betrayed humanity. The experience had changed him into something harder and colder. He no longer believed in mercy or forgiveness. He believed only in making enemies pay for their crimes. The galaxy wanted to see what humans could become when we stopped trying to be peaceful, he told his officers. We are about to show them. 2 years after Commander Nari brought word of the betrayal, the Retribution Armada was ready. 2,000 ships waited in the darkness beyond Pluto, invisible to alien sensors. Each vessel carried weapons that violated every treaty Earth had ever signed. Each crew member had lost friends or family to alien treachery. The time for hiding was over. The time for diplomacy had ended with the destruction of the original fleet. Now came the time for retribution. Earth sent no warnings. They made no demands. They simply began to kill their enemies, starting with the species that had laughed while Admiral Kwan died in space. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson that would echo through history. Never betray humanity, never trust that humans will forgive, and never assume that a peaceful species will remain peaceful when their children are murdered. Fleet Admiral Quan stood on the bridge of his flagship Indomitable. Through the massive windows, he could see the greatest human fleet ever assembled. 200 ships hung in space like silver stars. Each vessel carried humanity's finest soldiers, pilots, and officers. 3 months had passed since they left Earth. The journey to the coordinates given by the Council had been long but peaceful. Admiral Quan felt proud as he watched his ships move in perfect formation. Humanity would prove their worth to the galaxy today. "Admiral," called Commander Nari from her stealth frigate Shadowhawk. Her voice came through the communication system. "I'm not detecting any Council reinforcements at these coordinates." "The area appears empty." Admiral Quan frowned. The Council had promised that massive alien fleets would meet them here. Together they would face the void-touched invasion, but space around them showed nothing except stars and cosmic dust. "Run another scan," he ordered. "They might be using cloaking technology we don't understand." On the heavy cruiser Defiant, Captain Jin was having the same concerns. His sensors showed no sign of enemy forces or allied ships. The emptiness felt wrong. After months of travel, they had expected to find a battle already in progress. Colonel Wu led the orbital marines aboard the assault carrier Titan. His soldiers were ready for boarding actions against void-touched vessels. They had trained for months, studying every piece of intelligence the Council had provided about their mysterious enemy. But the intelligence had all been lies. Suddenly, space around the human fleet erupted with light. Hundreds of massive alien warships appeared from nowhere, their cloaking systems shutting down all at once. The vessels were enormous, each one larger than humanity's biggest battleships. Admiral Quan's blood turned to ice. These were not void-touched ships. He recognized the designs from Council databases. Saurian battleships with their tooth-like projections, resonant crystal ships that sang with deadly energy. The four-armed Helix species brought their spiral-shaped destroyers. "All ships, battle stations," Admiral Quan shouted into his communication system. But even as he gave the order, he knew they were doomed. The alien fleet outnumbered them 5-1, and they had been caught completely by surprise. Chancellor Vex's voice filled every human ship. "People of Earth," he said, his words dripping with false sadness. "You have forced us to take this action. Your aggressive expansion threatens peaceful species throughout the galaxy." "Lies," Admiral Quan responded on all frequencies. "We came here to help you fight the Void-Touched." Vex laughed. "The Void-Touched? A useful fiction to bring your fleet where we needed it. Your species is too dangerous to exist. Today we end the human threat forever." The battle began with devastating alien fire. Beams of pure energy cut through human ships like hot knives through butter. The humans fought back with everything they had, but their weapons barely scratched the alien hulls. Captain Jin watched his sensor officer die as energy blasts tore through the Defiance bridge. Half his ship was already gone, but his engines still worked. He made a decision that would be remembered forever. "All hands abandon ship," he ordered. "This is Captain Jin. It has been an honor serving with you." He pointed his damaged cruiser directly at the largest Saurian battleship and pushed his engines to maximum power. The Defiant screamed through space, trailing fire and debris. Jin's last words were broadcast across the fleet. "For Earth, for humanity." The Defiant struck the alien battleship at incredible speed. Both ships vanished in a ball of white fire that could be seen from 1,000 kilometers away. Captain Jin had taken 5,000 enemy soldiers with him into death. But his sacrifice was only one bright moment in a disaster. Human ships were dying everywhere. The carrier Titan exploded with all hands, including Colonel Wu and his Marines. The battleship Invincible broke in half under concentrated fire. Smaller ships tried to escape, but alien fighters hunted them down one by one. Commander Nari watched the slaughter from her stealth frigate. The Shadowhawk's advanced cloaking systems kept her hidden, but she could do nothing to help her fellow humans. She recorded everything, knowing that someone had to survive to tell Earth what really happened. Admiral Quan realized that conventional fighting was hopeless. Most of his fleet was already destroyed or dying, but he could still complete one final mission. Earth had to know about the betrayal. All remaining ships he broadcast on emergency frequencies. Protocol Omega, repeat, Protocol Omega. Protocol Omega was humanity's most desperate plan. When facing complete destruction, the fleet would sacrifice itself to ensure that critical information reached home. It meant certain death for those who stayed behind, but it might save Earth itself. 12 ships still had working engines. Admiral Kwan ordered them to form a defensive screen around Commander Nari's Shadowhawk and 2 damaged frigates. The survivors would escape through a dangerous nebula, while the rest of the fleet bought them time. "Commander Nari," Admiral Kwan said, his voice calm despite the chaos around him. "You carry humanity's future now. Make sure Earth knows what happened here." "Yes, sir," Nari replied. Tears ran down her face as she watched the Indomitable turn toward the enemy fleet. Admiral Kwan was going to ram the alien flagship just like Captain Jin had done. The final battle lasted only minutes. The remaining human ships threw themselves at the aliens with desperate courage. They could not win, but they could create confusion. In that confusion, 3 small ships slipped away into the swirling gases of the nebula. The Indomitable died last. Admiral Kwan's flagship had survived the longest, but alien fire finally overwhelmed its defenses. As the great ship broke apart, its message pods launched automatically. They carried the same information that Commander Nari was taking home, but through different routes. The alien fleet watched the last human ship explode. In less than 2 hours, they had destroyed the greatest military force humanity had ever assembled. Nearly 200,000 humans were dead, including most of Earth's finest military leaders. High Magistrate Kell's crystal voice rang across the battlefield. "Broadcast the prepared message to all worlds. The humans attacked us without warning. We acted in self-defense against an aggressive species." The lie spread quickly through galactic communication networks. News reports showed footage of the battle, but edited to make it look like humans had fired first. The Council declared humanity a threat to galactic peace and imposed a complete quarantine on human space. Any species caught helping, Earth would face the same fate as the human fleet. But in the dangerous nebula, 3 small ships limped toward home. Commander Nari's Shadowhawk had suffered heavy damage, and one of the frigates was barely holding together. The journey would take months if they survived at all. As they flew through the swirling gases, Nari looked at the data she had recorded. The evidence was clear and undeniable. The Council had planned this betrayal from the beginning. They had murdered nearly 200,000 innocent people who came only to help. Earth would learn the truth. And when they did, Nari knew that nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The aliens had awakened something in humanity that had been sleeping for centuries. They had made the greatest mistake in galactic history. They had made enemies of the human race. Ambassador Hyun walked through the gleaming corridors of the massive space station. His heart beat fast with excitement. After 50 years of trying, humanity had finally been accepted into the Galactic Council. The orbital station called Unity's Promise was bigger than any human city. Its walls sparkled with strange alien metals, and the air hummed with advanced technology. Hyun wore his best diplomatic uniform. The blue fabric carried Earth's symbol proudly on his chest. Behind him walked Captain Tae and his tactical officer Mira. Both soldiers looked alert and ready, but they also seemed amazed by what they saw around them. "Hard to believe we made it this far," Captain Tae said quietly. His eyes studied the alien guards that stood at attention along their path. The creatures looked like walking trees with silver bark and glowing red eyes. Mira nodded but stayed silent. Something felt wrong to her, though she could not say what. The aliens smiled and bowed when they passed, but their eyes seemed cold. She had learned to trust her instincts during 20 years of military service. They entered the Great Hall, a room so large that clouds formed near its ceiling. Thousands of aliens filled the space. Hyun saw creatures he had only read about in reports. The Saurians stood tall like walking dinosaurs covered in green scales. Their leader, Chancellor Vex, had teeth as long as kitchen knives. The resonance looked like living crystals that sang when they moved. Their High Magistrate Kell made beautiful music with every step. "Welcome, humans," Chancellor Vex said. His voice sounded like grinding rocks. "Today you join the greatest alliance in galactic history." The ceremony lasted for hours. Each of the 7 council species gave speeches about peace and friendship. They spoke of sharing knowledge and protecting weaker worlds. Hyun felt proud as he signed the treaty documents with his golden pen, but in a hidden room deep inside the station, a very different meeting was taking place. "The humans signed everything," said a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. "They believe every word we told them." Chancellor Vex laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Of course they do. These primitive apes think they can join civilized species as equals." High Magistrate Kell's crystal body rang like a bell. "Their expansion rate concerns the Council. In just 200 years, they have spread to 40 star systems. Their population grows too fast. And their weapons, added the four-armed alien. They developed spaceflight and atomic weapons in the same century. Most species take 10 times longer. A creature made of living shadow spoke from the corner. Phase 0 is ready. We can begin weakening their colonies immediately. Food shortages, equipment failures, communication breakdowns. They will think it is bad luck, Chancellor Vex nodded. Perfect. But we need them weak, not suspicious. The void-touched war provides excellent cover. We will send their entire fleet to die fighting an enemy that does not exist. The aliens had invented the void-touched threat years ago. It was a useful lie to make smaller species give them ships and soldiers. But for humans, they had planned something special. Complete destruction. Meanwhile, Dr. Bin worked alone in his laboratory aboard the human research ship Discovery. As humanity's chief expert on alien biology, he had spent months studying tissue samples from different council species. Something strange had caught his attention. The genetic patterns were too similar. 7 different species from 7 different worlds, all evolved separately, should have completely different DNA. But these aliens shared common genetic markers. It was as if they had been designed by the same creator. Dr. Bin accessed the Council's public databases looking for more information. What he found made his blood run cold. Hidden in the data files were communication logs between Council species. They spoke in code, but the meaning was clear. Phase 0 deployment successful on Human Colony 7. Food processors failing as planned. Mineral extraction equipment on Human Colony 12 showing critical errors. Population requesting emergency supplies. Communication satellites around Human Colony 3 have mysterious power failures. They cannot call for help. The Council was already attacking human settlements. They were making it look like accidents and equipment failures. But it was systematic sabotage. Dr. Bin's hands shook as he copied the files to a secure drive. He tried to contact Ambassador Hyun immediately, but something was wrong with the communication system. Every message failed to send. Dr. Bin grabbed his coat and ran toward the shuttle bay. He had to warn the others before it was too late. The corridor was empty except for 2 tall aliens in maintenance uniforms. They smiled when they saw him coming. "Dr. Bin," one of them said, "working late tonight?" "Yes," he replied, trying to sound calm. "Just heading back to my quarters." The alien stepped closer. "Actually, we have been looking for you. There is a problem with your laboratory's air recycling system. Very dangerous. Please come with us." Dr. Bin knew he was in trouble. These were not maintenance workers. Their hands were too clean and they moved like soldiers. He turned to run, but more aliens blocked his escape route. "Please do not make this difficult," the first alien said. "It will be quick." Dr. Bin fought hard, but the aliens were stronger. They dragged him to an empty storage room. The last thing he saw was a small device that made a bright blue flash. Hours later, security found Dr. Bin's body in an airlock. The official report said he had suffered an accident while working on atmospheric samples. The toxic gases had killed him instantly. Ambassador Hyun attended the funeral and spoke about the dangers of scientific research. But the evidence Dr. Bin had found was gone. The aliens had wiped his computer and destroyed all his notes. The truth about Phase 0 remained hidden. 3 days after the funeral, Chancellor Vex requested an urgent meeting with Ambassador Hyun. The Saurian leader looked worried and spoke in serious tones. "My friend," Vex said, "we face a terrible crisis. Our deep space monitors have detected massive void-touched fleets moving toward Council space. They will reach our borders in 6 months." Hyun leaned forward. "How can humanity help?" "We need your entire fleet," High Magistrate Kell sang. "Your ships are fast and your people are brave. Only together can we stop this invasion." The request was exactly what the Council had hoped for. Hyun contacted Earth immediately. Within hours, President Han had approved the deployment. Humanity would send their finest ships and their best people to help their new alien friends. Fleet Admiral Kwan began preparing the Armada. 200 ships would carry humanity's hopes to war. None of them knew they were sailing into a trap that would change their species forever. The deception was complete. The humans trusted their new allies completely, never suspecting that friendship was just another weapon pointed at their hearts.